Hello and welcome to Unboxed, the podcast that dives deep into the world of custom packaging and innovative brand experiences. In each episode, we'll be exploring the latest trends, innovations, and best practices in the design and packing industry, and then taking a look at how they can help businesses like yours to create memorable and impactful brand experiences. I'm your host, Sam Johnston. Let's get started. I'm your host, Sam Johnston, and in this episode, we'll be talking to Rick Fitzgerald, who is a custom packaging design industry veteran, all-around legend. He's the chief design officer at Merchant Boxes. He's a Clio judge, and if you've ever seen cool packaging out there in the world, chances are Rick has had something to do with that somewhere along the line. So great to have you on, Rick.
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate being here with you.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to digging in. And this is pre the Clio judging. And I'm sure that after the Clios have happened, we'll bring on some of those team members and maybe talk about the experience there. But for this podcast, we're going to run through 5 questions. They're very similar questions to what we've asked some of the other guests, so that if you've listened before, we'll chapter it so you can jump in and listen to Rick's perspective on these different areas. But the first one's going to be what inspired them to get into this career, to get stuck into building brands and doing the packaging and the product industry, and how do they get started in the field? The second one's going to be how do they think custom packaging and product brand experiences contribute to creating a loyal customer base, and maybe what are some of those strategies that they've seen out there in the world that are achieving it. The third one will be, can they share any success stories or case studies of businesses that have transformed their brand through custom packaging and design exercises? Number 4 will be, what are some of the biggest challenges or roadblocks the businesses face when it comes to custom packaging, branding, and brand experiences, and how has he seen them overcome it? And the last but not least will be a forecast look at the future. So how does he see the future of custom packaging and brand experiences evolving in maybe the next 5 to 10 years? So without further ado, Rick, we'll get stuck straight into the first one, which is, what inspired you to get into your career, get stuck into building brands, the custom packaging, the product industry in general, and how did you get started in the field?
Wow. Man, you're having me go way back on this one.
Way back.
Way back. So I was completely born with a creative soul. I came out of the womb drawing and sketching and sculpting and everything you can imagine. Seriously, from an early age, I was just fascinated with the arts. Just over the years, I fine-tuned my fine art side. But what I realized is, from my fine art side, there was a lot of correlation to the CPG world, the advertising world, the marketing, the creative, the design world. And, I realized pretty early in life, like in high school, that I wanted to get into what at the time everyone was just calling advertising, commercial art. I wanted to take my, my fine arts passions and try to translate those into a way that I could honestly support my fine arts through a regular job in corporate America. Honestly, I started with the packaging fascination when I was 8-9 years old. I don't know if you remember Evel Knievel, but the crazy daredevil. I was fascinated with Evel Knievel, like a lot of us were. And, Mr. Knievel came out with a whole line of interesting toys. And one of them was that motorcycle you could rev up and hit that button and he'd go shooting off. Well, I wanted one really badly, but it wasn't just for the motorcycle. It was for the package, which I saw on TV adverts. I saw in my comic book adverts. It was just a really interesting, it felt like a comic book on a box to me. And I really wanted that box. And I ultimately got it, I think maybe for my birthday one year or something like that. And I just remember just not even opening that thing for 10, 15 minutes and just reading the box and checking out all the cool stuff on there and just learning a little bit more about Mr. Evel Knievel, and ultimately opened it up and ran that motorcycle into the ground. But, it was interesting. I hadn't really honestly thought about that until you and I were talking a couple weeks ago. And I thought, man, when was the first time I really got into packaging and design? And that was really that Evel Knievel box. And, I would have never guessed in a million years that I would ultimately end up designing boxes for toys like that or for products like that. And like I said, I got into advertising in high school. I grew up in the sticks, way in the middle of the country, nothing around us, but we had some great teachers who brought in some professors from the local college, UVA in Charlottesville, Virginia, and taught us art students. I was an art student all through high school. Taught us art students about commercial art, which it was called back in 1985, 85. And I got a good exposure to what it meant to be in the advertising world and what it took to bring a product to market and what it took to create a story around a product or a brand or a company, and got a really interesting insight. Great teacher. I mean, unfortunately, I don't remember her name, but she was amazing, and gave us a really good overview of the commercial art world. So from there, I was addicted. I constantly for a year and a half, I remember I just made up logos for fake businesses and, make up fake advertisements for fake businesses. And my art teacher came to me one day and said, "Rick, you need to think about college, and you need to think about a college that will expand your creativity." And so with her push and her help, this is Diana Greenwood. I miss her. I applied to 2 schools, and I got into one of them, which was Virginia Commonwealth University, which is one of the top public art schools in the area, and I think maybe even in the country at the time.
Nice.
Completely. I mean, with my grades in school, I squeaked in, and I think it was all based on my creative talents and the portfolio that I put in to get into that school. I think they might have made some exceptions for my bad studentness. But anyway, I got into VCU. I learned all about everything in the design world, everything from fonts, typesetting, photography, you name it, I learned it. And oddly enough, it wasn't until my senior year at VCU, which was 91, that we got our first Mac, our first Apple computer, our first Mac. Yeah. I think it was a Mac Classic, and I didn't even get to touch it. My friend Dave Grace, who is another great designer, took me under his wing for like 2 days and just basically took me through the computer, how to use it, took me through the basics of Illustrator, which I think was Illustrator 88, the first one that came out, and just gave me an introduction into the digital realm of creative design and again, commercial art is what we were calling it at the time. So, went through school, learned about it, came out, got a couple small gigs with some small marketing agencies, and completely faked everything I could until I learned how to use the computers, the programs, and all that kind of stuff. And just really came up in an interesting time when the Mac was new and Illustrator and the Adobe products were new. And I worked with those programs from the jump and loved them, and just finally ended up with a gig in kind of what I call the flat advertising world, brochures and adverts and, kind of traditional flat marketing, collateral. Did that for a number of years and had a lot of fun with it. And out of the blue in Virginia, my little town I was living in, Newport News, this big global packaging company put out an advertisement that they needed a designer to come in and basically help develop an in-house design team for that packaging company. It was Shorewood Packaging, who is now they're owned by other people. It's been split up and divvied out. But I worked there for 15 years. I created an in-house design group to help our clients basically R&D their packaging and packaging ideas. We were a creative resource for them. We could honestly design anything they wanted from the ground up. And we also took their designs and showed them what they could do with their designs through the world of print embellishment, and just making their packaging the best it could be. So, man, I feel like I've gone on a little whirlwind, but honestly, starting as a kid, I knew I wanted to be in this realm. And over the past, I've been in packaging now for almost 30 years, between Shorewood Packaging, Multi-Packaging Solutions, Color Edge, and now obviously Merchant Boxes. I've really been in this realm for a long time. I've met some amazing people. I have a long-standing list of clients who I call friends, because I've just gotten so close. I mean, one thing when you're a designer and you're working with someone on their brand, that's their baby. So
Hmm.
you basically have to adopt that baby, and that baby needs to be yours. And I did that with every single, and I still do with every single client. Their world is my world, and it's important that I respect that and make sure I do as best I can for them. So, yeah, I mean, I've had a really amazing, awesome. I've loved every bit of it. Career. I'm so fortunate in every respect to have done this, and yeah, I'm landed in a great group with you and Mickey and Doug and Allison and Lauren and Marcus, all these amazing team that we put together at Merchant Boxes. I honestly feel like this is my golden era, to really bring the best I can to the client without restrictions. In the past, I've worked for corporations, so there are certain restrictions that we as designers had to work within. We had to go through a certain line of communications. We couldn't always talk to the client directly. Sometimes we had to communicate through the salesperson, the customer service, or maybe even the client's representative. So now, being on the front lines with you and the team, we talk directly with the client. So it's a beautiful situation, and we can really. That's when we artists, we creatives, can do our best work, is when we talk directly to the brand owners and drivers and marketing teams and really understand their vision and let them understand what we can bring through the packaging world. So,
Wow.
man, I
That's
hope I
good
didn't go off
stuff.
too long, but yeah, it's
No,
good,
that's
fun
awesome.
stuff.
Yeah, I would love that. And tell the listeners a little bit about the Clio Awards and kind of a little bit of background there as to how you're involved in that and what you're doing. Because if we're going to have the next episode, they'd love, I'm sure, to get a bit of inside scoop.
Man, I love the Clios. I have been working around the Clios for my entire career. A lot of clients I've worked with have won Clios. I've worked on projects that have won Clios. I haven't won a Clio. I'm gonna win a Clio.
It's going to happen.
We will. We're gonna win a Clio. Yeah, I've been around the Clios for a long time. And then I was introduced to Michael Kaufman years ago, who runs the Clio music, cannabis. I think he does a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of them.
He's amazing. A lot of them. And just started helping him with my. I've got a lot of connections in the cannabis space, just because coming up in California, I've worked with a lot of cannabis brands and helped design for a lot of cannabis brands. So I've got a lot of connections in that world. And when he told me that he was going to start doing this Clio cannabis, I'm like, man, I know so many amazing creatives that are doing some incredible work out there that would love to get their work out there in front of people. And the Clios is just such a perfect format. They've been around since like 1959, I think.
Yeah.
They've even been featured on Mad Men.
Mad Men, yeah. He
Yeah,
leaves it at a bar,
Draper, totally.
So funny.
It's so disrespectful.
I
Got
know.
so mad at Don. But yeah, and like last year, I designed the tickets for the Clio Cannabis Awards. Michael called me and brought me in on that, which was fun. And then I've also I've done some design work for the Clios, so I've worked with the Clios in that respect. And then this year, I was asked by Michael and Michelle Castellan, who is over at the Clios, to be on the jury, which for me is bucket list. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to win a Clio, but honestly, even more important to me is seeing all this amazing work that these creatives are putting out there, and being able to see it in such in-depth, with so much information about that product, brand, service, whatever they're up for a Clio award for. I get to see all that stuff. I get to, I get to sit on a panel with some ridiculously amazing creative people who are on this jury with me, and get to see some of the best in the cannabis realm this year. I'm on the design and innovation panel, I think it's called. So I'll be seeing products, I'll be seeing packaging, I'll be seeing just anything that's just innovative in the world of cannabis on the edge. Yeah. So super excited to be on this jury.
Well, we're looking forward to the next episode where we can bring you back on, post it, and we can review some of those amazing pieces that are coming through.
That's going to be fun.
And it leads us on to this next question, which is, How do you see custom packaging or brand experiences contributing to creating a loyal customer base? And what are some of the most effective strategies you've seen throughout your career, or maybe just peripherally to it, that are actually achieving that?
Yeah, I mean, look, this product that people are purchasing from you, it could be a physical product, it could be a service, whatever it is. They're bringing that into their world, into their lifestyle, into their families, sometimes purchasing it for family members. So, a brand, a service, a company needs to make sure that they are clear in their messaging, as transparent as possible, and are really addressing the needs of that consumer in every sense. It's vital to connect with the consumer, and to do that, you have to gain their trust. And there's a lot of ways to gain trust. Obviously, it's through quality, and it's through, how they sit in this society. Are they a productive member of the society? Are they contributing to societal issues? Are they contributing to environmental issues? Are they concerned about this world as a whole? More than just their product. You want to show the consumers that you're a trusted entity on this planet. And once you can gain their trust, then you can they invite you into their world, and they bring your product into their houses and such. But the way to do that is through your through your image, through your branding, through your brand, through your messaging. It's completely vital to connect with the consumers in the right way, and understand the consumers, and understand yourself. I mean, I've known a number of people that have gotten into business and didn't even know why they got into business, besides make money and try to maybe work for themselves. Maybe, I don't know. But you really need to care about your product, and make sure that you're putting your best foot forward, and understand your audience. There's a lot of research that you need to do before you launch any type of brand or product or service. You need to understand the market. You need to understand the consumer. You need to understand the logistics of how it even happens. Packaging, just to pull this out of the blue, is not an easy thing to do. So, anyone that is creating a brand or anything, packaging needs to be in the forefront of everything they're doing. It rides parallel to your brand development. As you develop your brand and branding, you really need to, if you have packaging for your product, you really need to consider that packaging in that process, because it's a really different animal. And it kind of harkens back to what I said about moving from the 2D world to the 3D world. Going from ads to packaging is a hell of a step, and there's plenty of variables in print and flat printing. It's exponential when you get to packaging. You just have so many more variables in that realm. It can be very costly. There's a lot of development. There's a lot of upfront cost to getting into packaging. So, yeah, from a brand's perspective, they need to make sure that they, and actually that point gets more to budgeting, and making sure that when you are creating a product, that you just put in a good chunk of budget for your packaging and your print. So yeah, connect with your clients, become trusted, connect with your consumers, know your consumers, and then make sure you have the money in the bucket to really put that image out there. That's why I say put packaging in there as you're developing the branding, because it really is your front-facing. It's your best advertisement. It's what's sitting on the shelf. It's when someone's going to get some milk, they're going to pick the one that looks the coolest first, and may stay with that, and then they may go a little deeper from there. But typically, if that resonates with them, boom, they're going to grab it. They're going to at least see it, and you just want them to make sure they see you. Shelves are crowded, internet's crowded. We're full of all these products and stuff. So it's vital that that brands pay attention to their branding and their packaging. Yeah,
that's awesome. So, yeah, I mean, there's some gold in there. I think you've worked with so many different brands across the countries, really globally, across lots of different industries. What are some of the biggest challenges or roadblocks that businesses face when it comes to custom packaging, and how might they overcome them? And maybe looking slightly towards the future ahead of our next question, but what are some of the things that can be stumbling blocks for brands?
There's a lot. I mean, cost is a big one, and
Mhm.
that's why I say, consider your packaging costs up front, as far upstream as you can. Um, every market has their challenges. You've got regulatory issues that you have to consider with packaging. Size, shape, materials, processes. So there's a really a lot to consider, a lot of challenges. I can say in the cannabis space in particular is just one of the places that, that I work in, as is incredibly challenging. And I would say one of the most challenging areas to reside in the world of packaging and branding right now, because the regulations, it's just a startup industry. It's not even an industry yet. It's a startup space. Um, and so it's expensive to get into, and then when you add the cost of compliance and the regulations that you have to work around, it becomes incredibly expensive. So yeah, big challenge is to really make sure you budget for all of your packaging and print work. It's completely vital, and make sure you know your regulations, know the industries that you're playing in, and make sure that you are staying online, on top of that, staying compliant with all the regulations. And then make sure this part is super important. Find trusted partners. It is a very difficult thing to do, especially in print and packaging. It shouldn't be. We've been doing this stuff since like 1600s, whenever the first press was created. It shouldn't be as challenging and difficult as it is, but it is. And I think it's just simply because we have a bunch of products out there and a bunch of packaging, bunch of suppliers, and it's hard to narrow down the ones that really are going to be the best fit for you, and the ones that will even accept you. I mean, there are plenty of packaging places that you may go to that you don't fit their bill. So either you don't have enough volume that you're printing, or maybe you have too much, or it's a tough space to navigate. So finding a valued partner is vital. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I really was interested in what we're doing at Merchant Boxes, is because groups like this that have a full, well-rounded grip on packaging and print is just a really valuable partner for any business. And I'm honestly not trying to sell us right now. I'm just being completely honest. It's difficult to find people that understand packaging. Design agencies, marketing agencies, some of them are great, but most of them don't understand this world, and they typically have a couple people that they work with. Well, they'll just forward their clients to and be like, "Oh, hey, try these folks and good luck," And it's just that's one reason I like packaging, because there are so many variables. But it's hell for anyone outside of this world to navigate that scene. And the ones that do it well, man, I am in awe of you, because it's a lot of work. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
I think that the importance there, as you said, of finding a good partner who understands the regulation, understands the small little cost saving, the small little things that would trip up anyone else. That could be, if you just make this couple of millimeters difference in this space, it's going to save you thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, or if we make it in this location with this source that we've gone out and found, it's going to save you X, Y, it's going to speed up, it's going to increase productivity, it's going to increase the quality, it's going to make it environmentally friendly, X, Y, and Z. There's a lot of things in there, but that's where a partner comes into play, right? And I've seen personally within the industry, coming from a kind of marketing, CMO, in-agency and out-of-agency background myself, there's lots of design agencies out there, and some of them are great, some of them are terrible, some of them are in the middle, and there's some great sources out there, and some people that do the fulfillment and that side of things. But very rarely, if ever, have I seen an organization where these two things come together and provide the design angle with all of the checkpoints and all of the conversation happening at the same time with the sourcing network side of things. Means that the package is ready and raring to be printed immediately, instead of paying a lot of money for a nice design that looks great, but you cannot get it printed anywhere, and it's completely unusable, and it's a big waste of time. So it's exciting.
Well, I appreciate that you bringing that up, because that, that scenario that you set up of having a beautiful, something designed and then trying to figure out how to print it happens all the time. And unfortunately, what happens is, in those cases, that client typically has to concede to a couple design things that they like. They basically have to not redesign all the time, but pull back from where they were, because that particular agency or designer didn't understand how to build the files for print, or even how to start the process to ultimately print. So then the client will incur redesign fees. They'll incur all kinds of pre-press fees, which pre-press is basically a process that, once us designers are finished with the project, we hand it off to the professionals in the pre-press, who are digital masters, and they add all the extra stuff that you need to make the design print correctly on press. So you'll get those kind of fees, and those things pre-presses, it can be pricey. So, to have this packaging done right up front is vital. And that's one thing I really dig about us is that we can really design this from the beginning for the press it's going to be on. Even honestly, we could totally curate it to whatever final destination it's going to be. And hey, I do want to, real quick, I want to say what you mentioned about leaving money on the table and, not using the best, most economic efficient process in packaging. Mickey Waite, our partner here at Merchant Boxes, has had so many clients that he's gone to and simply given them money. There was a big cannabis client that he had out here in California, one of the biggest brands out here, and he was consulting with them, and this was a number of years ago, and basically in 1 year saved him over $1 million in print, simply by taking their big old sheet of packages. These things print on a big old sheet of paperboard, and then it's all die cut out to make the packages. But basically just rearrange that sheet a little bit, change the die line slightly, which affected nothing on the back end. Package looked exactly the same, but just by some subtle moves and getting more basically packages on one sheet, saved this company $1 million. I mean, so think about how many companies are sitting out there sitting on money that they have no idea they're sitting on, simply by making some changes. So that's one of the things I love, is being able to come in and just flip someone's world and get them in a better space. And it's not that hard to do sometimes.
Yeah. And if you're listening and you're curious, I wonder if that's me. Am I leaving money on the table? We'll put a link in the show notes so that you can get in contact with the Merchant Boxes team. They offer a free audit of your systems here to see how much money could you be saving. It depends on the scale of your organization. It might be we can save you $1 million. It might just be that we can save you 100,000 today. But we'll put that link in there. Click that, and then we can get you in touch. Now, with the last sort of 5 minutes or so, we want to be respectful of your time here, Rick. Would you be able to give us just maybe one thing that you see happening in the future of custom packaging, and how businesses might be able to stay ahead of the curve? Like, do you got any one little tip here that might be of use to people?
Totally. This is my passion right now. I am completely fascinated with the world of connected packaging. And connected packaging is just simply taking someone from a physical package, through some type of digital code, to a digital experience. But it really expands out more than that. I just want to extend the life of the package as far as possible, and then get it back into the earth safely and processed for whatever else our earth is going to do with that stuff. But connected packaging is just such it's a really trendy topic right now, but it's been around forever. I remember my first connected package was almost 20 years ago, probably, with a really interesting group that basically embeds a digital watermark into the print. So you don't see any codes, but you would have to let the consumer know that there is an area here that you just, put your phone over and it will take you. Back then, it was really just straight taking you to their websites. There wasn't a lot of extra cool stuff they were doing with this, with this connected packaging link. But nowadays, I mean, literally, you can completely gamify an experience for a consumer. They can take a product home and pop that QR code, and it maybe it's linked to their rewards or their loyalty system, their loyalty points, or maybe it is going to a splash page that's connected to a website. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that there's more than that. It's taking people to, sometimes it's taking people to real life experiences where through this portal on the package, they scan this, I'll just say QR code, takes them to a website that launches them into a treasure hunt, a physical treasure hunt, where they have to go find whatever this amazing thing is. And through prompts, through the brand, can really just, I mean, talk about bringing a consumer into the brand's world. There's so much more than this package. I love the package. There's plenty of awesomeness in the package and plenty of messaging you can do, but there's so much more you can do with it too. And I really think connected packaging, these digital experiences that we come to through the package is gonna be, you're gonna see more of it. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, I think we're gonna, maybe in June, we have another episode coming up with the CEO of a connected packaging organization that's a key partner to Merchant Boxes. And I think that we're going to have some real deep dive conversation into this area. So thanks for the introduction to it, Rick. It's a big topic, but something that we can look forward to in one of the next episodes. And that's it for today's episode of Unboxed. Thank you to our guest, Rick, here for sharing the insights and expertise with us. If you, the listener, have enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review wherever you're listening to this. It means a lot to us and the algorithm robot overlords. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, or you'd like to be a guest, you can reach out to us on email at unboxed@merchantboxes.com. And Rick, if someone wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to interact with you?
Yeah, they can shoot me a note at rick@merchantboxes.com. I've got some social media and stuff like that. LinkedIn, I'm Rick Fitzgerald. There may be 5,000 other of us, but
we'll
I'm on there.
Link. Yeah, we'll put a link there. Awesome. Well, until next time, keep thinking outside the box and creating unforgettable brand experiences. And we'll see you soon. Bye. Thank you for listening to today's episode. It was sponsored by Merchant Boxes. Merchant Boxes provide custom packaging to large businesses and small creators that customers love. If you are looking for award-winning custom package designs that make your business and products stand out from the competition, click the link in the show notes to find out more.